Right, so...
We're going to do issues.
We didn't do the locked list thing, did we?
No, let's do the locked list.
Okay. And the other thing I should say to each of you about making the list is that it's not a locked list that we make. It's a list that we'll come back to later on in the mediation, and if there are things you want to add to it or take away from it, we can always do that at any stage.
Un alt lucru pe care aș vrea să vi-l spun este că lista nu este definitivă, puteți să adăugați și să ștergeți lucruri de pe ea pe parcurs.
Okay, so coming back to the point we made a moment ago, who'd like to go first?
Și să revenim la ce am spus mai devreme, cine vrea să înceapă?
Cred că m-aș simți puțin mai confortabil dacă începe Jim, pentru că aș vrea să văd puțin poziția lui.
I think I would feel more comfortable if Jim started. I want to see his position.
Okay. Well, each of you can identify as many topics as you'd like to. So, Jim, would you like to start?
Fiecare dintre voi puteți să spuneți pe topicul de discuție vreți, așa că Jim, dacă vreți să încep, rog.
Well, basically, I want to see my granddaughter because she's been taken away from me for months now. So I understand that it's difficult for her, but it's also difficult for me. So I want to see my granddaughter.
Okay. And what does Marina call you?
Sorry?
What does Marina call you?
Oh, she called me Jimmy.
Jimmy, okay.
Jimmy.
So, restarting Marina seeing Jimmy.
Yeah.
Păi aș dori să învăț nepoata, ne-am văzut de foarte, foarte multe și mi-e dor de ea. Înțeleg că și ei e greu, dar și mie mi este. Și cum te cheamă, Miruna? Mă cheamă Jimmy.
Okay. What else?
Și ce altceva?
I don't know, maybe I could pick her up from school and have a walk with her. And
That's the detail.
And I don't know, something like that. It's just, I don't know what to do.
That's the detail. That's getting into the topics.
Yeah.
And what we're doing at this stage is just identifying the topics, the subjects.
Yeah.
So we won't log that. Just keep that as the headline.
Deci, aș vrea să, nu știu, să o iau de la școală, să mă plimb cu ea, nu știu ce vreau pur și simplu ceva. Deci, asta e intrare în detalii. Am spus că vom vorbi doar despre topicurile principale și asta intră în detalii. Deci, nu o vom pune pe această listă, face parte din prima cerere, spre o relație cu una.
Are there any other headline topics you'd like us to put on the list?
Yes, I would like her to be not so aggressive to me, because I feel she's aggressive to me, and always negative and saying no. I would like her to look at me like it was before.
Okay.
Yeah?
Liz, what do you think would be the best way of encapsulating that
I
on a
think,
flip chart?
Yeah, I think this is about communications, adult communications between the two of you about your granddaughter, your daughter.
Și ce aș mai vrea e să nu mai fie așa agresivă cu mine. E foarte agresivă și nu-mi place asta. Vreau să...
Vreau să am fost agresivă. Eu vreau să... E copilul meu, dar nu mi se pare că am fost agresivă.
I wasn't being aggressive. It's my child. I'm not being aggressive.
Pur și simplu mă îngrijorează faptul că are ce-a construit acolo în încăpere nici nu știu cum să-l numesc, e ca un altar.
I can't, you know, he built in that room, I don't even know how to call it, a shrine, and it just scares me.
Toate pozele alea, pur și simplu mi se pare un lucru înfricoșător pentru copilul meu e ca și un...
You see,
I don't know, like, you know, with all those pictures, it feels really, really frightening for me, for my child to be, I don't know.
Okay, well, let's just identify two topics from that brief exchange. There's the issue of adult communications and how you communicate with each other without negativity or aggression or taking the emotion out of the communications. The second point, you mentioned a room, a shrine. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Deci, hai să discutăm despre aceste tot ce zic așa și să încercăm fără agresivitate. Spuneai ceva despre un altar? Despre ceva de genul ăsta?
Da, nu sunt agresivă.
I'm not
Pur și simplu
aggressive.
mi-este teamă.
I'm just afraid.
Deci Jim are la el acasă,
Jim in his house,
are o încăpere
he's got a room
în care are o grămadă de poze
where he's got a lot of pictures, a lot of them memorabilia.
cu Carl și cu
Carl
Rosie
and Rosie.
Okay.
și obiecte sau lucruri care și cu Miruna.
And stuff, you know, and even with Miruna.
Și când o ia pe Miruna, când o lua la el,
And when he took Miruna to see, when Miruna went to see him,
mi se părea că e ca și cum ar fi fost o... Nu știu, pur și simplu mă îngrijorează copilul meu să fie așa concentrat numai pe chestia asta. Trebuie să trăiască.
I don't know, I just find it frightening that my child was just, you know, he just had to see that, she had to see that every day. I want her to live.
Okay, well, let me just see if I can take a topic out of that.
Dacă pot să găsesc un topic în asta.
What you're saying is that, and you don't necessarily have to agree with this, Jim. What you're saying is that there are things at Jim's you prefer Miruna did not see.
Deci, să înțeleg și Jim nu trebuie să fie de acord cu asta, e că sunt niște lucruri la Jim acasă pe care prefera să nu le vezi. Yes, definitely.
Okay, so how should we put that on the flip chart, Liz?
Possibly
Asta pe listă.
as Jim's memorabilia. I'm not quite sure that's the right description, but memorabilia of Carl and Rosie, or perhaps how Jim remembers Carl and Rosie.
Do you have some sort of special place at home where you keep
Ai un loc
Things?
special așa?
Oh, yes. I have a little table there with a few photographs. I mean,
Okay.
Masă acolo, câteva poze.
I lost my family now, and I'm losing now so the rest of the family. And am I supposed to remember them? I mean,
Okay. So if we were to put on the flip chart, sharing memories with Miruna, would that be a topic?
well, yes, sure. I mean, I also want Miruna to see
Of
the
course. So
what it was.
the topic, sharing memories with Miruna, would that cover it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Deci, dacă scriem acolo, să împărțim, să-i spunem Mirunei amintiri cu tatăl ei și cu bunica ei, dacă asta ar fi una dintre problemele care trebuie rezolvate. Să le punem pe listă.
Da, una este să aibă amintiri și să aibă o fotografie și o fotografie acolo. Și alta este să aibă o încăpere în care să ducă pe Miruna și tot timpul să vadă lucrurile, să vadă fotografiile, să vadă obiectele. Și ea e o fetiță de 7 ani, are nevoie să trăiască, are nevoie, înțeleg, că e bunicul ei și că vrea să aibă o relație cu ea. De asta sunt aici.
It's very, very different to have 1-2 pictures and show it to her, and to have a whole room dedicated and just have a shrine and take Miruna there. She's only 7 years old. I want her to live and to, you know, that it's just, I don't find it.
Well, I understand, but what we put on the flip chart is sharing memories with Miruna. That's a very natural thing to want to do, but how you do it may be a useful topic for discussion.
Da, am înțeles. De aceea am pus pe listă ca și o problemă să îi aducem aminte sau să împărțim amintiri despre tatăl ei cu Miruna. Cum o facem, putem să discutăm.
Da, vă rog foarte mult.
Yes, that's what I want.
So, something else you'd like to put on the list? There doesn't have to be.
Well, I have a feeling that she's trying to make my granddaughter to forget about us like we never existed, you know?
Okay.
So I don't like that.
Okay.
And we are part of that family, you know. But I think I know that she has a new boyfriend, that she has to continue with her life, and this I understand. But Miruna is also my family now, and you know, I want to be close to her, and I have a feeling that she's just trying to get rid of that part of a family history, and I'm part of a history as well.
Thank you. Christina.
Și o altă problemă despre care aș dori să discutați. Aș vrea, simt că încearcă să mă șteargă din viața ei și din viața lui Miruna. Sunt parte din istoria ei. Miruna e și parte din familia mea și știu că acum are un prieten nou și că vrea să-și vadă de viața ei, dar sunt parte Miruna e parte din familia mea și trebuie să fie parte din familia mea.
Dar nu încerc să-l scot din viața lui Miruna. Pur și simplu vreau să ne continuăm viața și vreau să fie un mod sănătos pentru copilul meu. O relație sănătoasă. Nu ceva care să
I'm not trying to erase Jim from Miruna's life. What I'm trying is to kind of move on with our life and make sure that Miruna has a kind of healthy relationship with him rather than
Healthy. There's no
So
relationship.
let us see if we can take a topic out of that,
să vedem dacă putem să facem
which is perhaps sustaining a relationship with Jim.
adică să ai
That cover it, Jim?
o relație cu Jim.
Will that cover it?
Ar fi ok pentru tine? Da. Yes.
Okay. Do you have a further topic you'd like on the list?
No, I think that's
Okay. So, Julia, do you have something further you'd like to add to the list? Before that, could you translate the list as it stands for Julia?
Of course.
Can you see it all right? Can you read it all right? Do you want me to go through it?
Da, it's okay.
Good.
So, Julia, acolo e lista cu cererile pe care ați vrea să le rezolvați voi doi. Pentru moment e scrisă reînceperea relației între Miruna, să-l vadă pe Jimmy, practic, să aveți comunicații între voi ca și adulți, să împărțiți memorii cu Miruna, cum o faceți, rămâne de discutat și ce trebuie, și ca tu să susții o relație între Miruna și Jim.
Is there something you'd like to add to that list?
Ce înseamnă să ai memorii sau amintirile astea? Adică până unde se duc amintirile astea sau?
What does this sharing memories mean? How far can they go?
Copilul vine acasă trist, e speriat, unde e tata, eu vreau să aibă o relație să fie normală, să aibă o familie normală și nu să se gândească tot timpul la lucruri așa întunecate și vorbește despre moarte.
My child comes home sad and scared and asking where her father is, and I just want her to live her life and have a normal family and a relationship, not think about death and stuff like that.
Well, that's why it's a topic for discussion. You may each have different views on this.
De aceea este pusă pe listă și vom discuta despre asta, pentru că aveți păreri diferite.
There's something you'd like to add?
Doriți să adaugi ceva?
There is nothing that is jumping out as evidently omitted. I know that Jim mentioned briefly Julia's new partner, but I suspect that really the issue for him was about sustaining relationships. So
Sure.
her new partner is encapsulated within that issue. So I'm unsure that there's anything evidently glaringly missing.
Nu cred că există ceva care lipsește pe această listă. Știu că Jim spunea că vrea să susții o relație dintre Miruna și el, deși ai acest nou partener. Dar în rest nu, cred că cam tot e pe listă.
Okay. Nothing else you'd like to add?
Nimic altceva care doriți să adaugi?
Acum nu mai pot gândi așa, sunt puțin.
I can't think right now, but
Okay, that's fine.
Poate mai vine pe parcurs.
Maybe
ceva
as we go along.
Okay, right. So we've got 4 issues that you've each identified. What we need to do is put those in some sort of order. It isn't order of importance because it's all important, because it's all about Maruna. What it's about is order of what needs to be sorted first for each of you. Now, you might have the same topic which you both would like to be sorted out first. You might have different topics. If that's the case, then we'll endeavour to sort out each of your most urgent, pressing topic first. So let's try and put them in some sort of order. I think, Jim, you started with issues. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Deci, după cum vezi, ați ajuns la un consens, aveți câteva probleme pe care vreți să le discutați pe această listă. Trebuie să încercăm să le punem într-o anumită ordine. Nu ordinea importantă, pentru că este vorba de Miruna, ci pur și simplu o ordine a priorităților despre ce ați dori să vorbiți prima dată. Știu că poate fiecare dintre dumneavoastră aveți un subiect diferit, dar să încercăm și să vedem ce este.
So I'm going to invite Julia to let me know, Julia, what for you are your top 2 most urgent, pressing issues?
Deci am să te rog pe tine, Iulia, ca să-mi spui care sunt primele, cele 2 mai importante și mai presante subiecte pentru tine.
And would you like Christina to read them to you again?
Și ar dori ca Cristina să le citească din nou.
Da, vă rog, dacă puteți să mi le citiți, că
Yes,
sunt un pic așa.
vedeți. Deci, problemele care sunt pe listă sunt reînceperea Jimmy dorește să o vadă din nou pe Miruna, comunicațiile între dumneavoastră ca și adulți, împărțirea de amintiri cu Miruna și ca dumneavoastră să susțineți o relație a Mirunei cu Jimmy.
Eu sunt de acord ca el să o vadă pe Miruna, înțeleg asta.
I agree that Jim wants to see Miruna, and I agree that they should see each other. I understand that.
Dar pentru mine cel mai îngrijorător este partea asta cu amintirile.
But for me, the most threatening or scary thing is the one with the memories.
Știu cum să numesc, sanctuarul ăla sau
I don't know how
e foarte îngrijorător pentru mine, știu copilul acolo.
Okay, so that would be your first priority, looking at the sharing of memories.
Deci asta ar fi prioritatea dumneavoastră numărul 1, da? Împărțirea amintirilor. Yes, I think so, yes.
And what would be your second priority?
Și care ar fi a doua prioritate?
Numai puțin să mă concentrez, înțeleg puțin așa, dar să mă concentrez la ce înseamnă ele.
Just a little bit. I understand what it says there. I just need to concentrate a bit so I can read.
Să comunicăm.
To communicate.
Okay. Thank you, Julia. And Jim, what for you your 2 most urgent topics?
It's good that she agrees to communicate because I think that's what I want to do. I don't know what she's just blocking me out.
So would you say that's your number 1?
Communication is number 1 for me,
Okay.
definitely.
Deci, Jim, care ar fi prioritățile tale? Mă bucur să aud că ea vrea să comunice. Asta e foarte important și da, și pentru mine comunicarea.
And number 2?
And then it's either restarting the communication or sustaining the relationship. I would say restarting it would be the number 2 for me.
Și a doua prioritate? Păi, aș spune reînceperea comunicațiilor, nu știu, să o văd din nou pe Miruna. Aia ar fi.
Da, mă scuzați acum că întreb.
I'm sorry, I have to ask.
La ce vă referiți când se referă Jim la comunicare?
What does Jim mean through communicating?
La comunicarea dintre noi sau vrea să implice, în ce punct vrea să implice pe Miruna să-i comunice ei lucrurile astea, că mă îngrijorează foarte mult, îi comunică niște lucruri cât sunt doar ei, care pe mine mă îngrijorează.
I don't understand what this communication means. Is it between me and him, or at what point do we involve Miruna in it? Because he's communicating things to her when they're alone that I don't want him to do.
Okay.
You don't want to that I communicate with Miruna?
Nu vrei ca eu să comunic cu Miruna?
Can I just interject for a moment? The topic on the board is adult communications, that is between you two.
Deci, subiectul de pe listă este comunicarea între dumneavoastră ca și adulți.
Is there an additional topic of communications between Miruna and Jim?
Există un alt subiect care ar fi comunicarea dintre Miruna și Jim?
Da, eu aș vrea.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, I
we add that as. Thank you. Does that take for you a higher priority than your two current top priorities?
Acest subiect are mai mare prioritate decât cele două pe care le-ați menționat înainte?
Cum să vă explic? Sunt aici, am venit aici, la medierea asta, ca să rezolvăm. Înțeleg că avem o problemă.
How should I say? I came here to this mediation because I understand and I want to deal with this problem and resolve it.
What problem?
Well, there is a problem at the moment, is there not? That you are not seeing Miruna and Miruna is not seeing you. Therefore, there may be things that have to happen before that restarts. And that's very normal.
But she's saying there are communications problems between Miruna and me? What problems?
No.
What is happening?
Well, I'll answer your question, but I would like Christina to translate first.
Thank you. Păi ce problemă? La ce se referă comunicarea asta între mine și Miruna? Ce problemă e aici? Am să răspund la întrebare într-un moment.
And the question you asked was, well, there are communication problems? What problems?
I don't know.
Pause one moment, please, Jim. The topic is communications, generally. So no one is saying that there are necessarily problems in the communications, but how, when, where, what about are areas that may need discussion so far as the communications are concerned.
Deci, comunicarea e ceva general între tine și Miruna. Nu că există o problemă în comunicare, ci despre ce, când, cum și ce subiecte abordați e problema.
Each of you may have very different views as to the nature and the content and the quality of those communications.
Fiecare dintre dumneavoastră aveți o anumită părere despre cum ar trebui să se desfășoare, despre ce ar trebui să fie aceste comunicări între voi.
I believe, but please tell me if I'm wrong, that you are both clear that of course Miruna and Jim need to communicate.
Cred, dar vă rog să mă corectați dacă greșesc, că amândoi credeți că Jim și Miruna ar trebui să comunice.
And you are both clear that each of you need to communicate with each other.
Și că e destul de clar că trebuie să vorbiți și unul cu celălalt.
I don't think she wants me to communicate with Miruna. She's cutting me off all the time.
Nu cred că ea vrea ca eu vă rog să vorbesc cu Miruna.
And now
Jim, Julia would not be here if she did not want to find solutions.
Jim, Julia nu ar fi aici dacă nu ar vrea să găsească soluții.
Exact.
What do you think I'm doing with Miruna? Why do you think there are problems? She's just a 7-year-old girl. What do you think I'm talking to her?
Despre ce crezi că vorbesc eu cu Miruna? Are 7 ani. Ce crezi că putem să vorbim? Ce probleme să fie?
Gândurile astea legate de pierdere, de moarte, am înțeles, ei au murit, Carl a fost tatăl ei, dar fata trebuie să-și continue viața. Nu aș vrea să fie așa de legată emoțional de lucrurile astea. Eu înțeleg, nu vreau să-l tai, de asta sunt aici, pentru că nu vreau să-l tai pe Jim de la relația lui cu nepoata lui.
All these thoughts about loss, about Carl dying, and it's just, I understand. Carl was her father, but I want her to live her life. I don't want her to kind of go through go on with this sorrow, and that's why I'm here to try and let him communicate.
Of course, there's a bit of sorrow, but I'm not crying all the time. What do you think we are doing, Miruna, now? We're just in the garden doing things. We're just planting, growing some flowers. You're not there. How do you know that I'm mourning all the time or making her cry all the time? You don't know that. You're not there.
Înțeleg această... că sunt puțin trist, dar asta nu înseamnă că tristețea asta e mereu prezentă. Ce crezi că fac eu cu Miruna toată ziua? Plantăm în grădină, plantăm în grădină, deci nu... Bineînțeles că există puțină tristețe și durere acolo, dar nu e permanentă.
Ce vreau să spun este că fetița vine acasă foarte tristă
What I
și
want to
vorbește
say-
tot timpul despre tata, unde e tata, cum o să... Eu aș vrea să aibă o relație cu Jim ca și bunic. Înțeleg că e important pentru ea să-și continue relația cu Jim ca bunic.
What I say is that my daughter comes home and she's always extremely sad and where's my father and why isn't he here and all these questions. What I want is for Maruna to have Jim as a grandfather and not as a reminder of all the things.
Okay, thank you. Liz.
Mulțumesc.
Okay, so to some extent that covers two of the issues, adult communications and communications between Maruna and Jim. Now, some time back, Robin asked Julia, does adding on that issue, communications between Maruna and Jim, alter your order of priority for dealing with the issues?
Deci, ce am vorbit acum, practic, am vorbit despre comunicarea atât dintre voi cât și dintre Miruna și Jim. Acest nou subiect, comunicarea dintre Miruna și Jim, alterează lista priorităților dumneavoastră? Aveți ca și prioritate împărțirea memoriilor și comunicarea între adulți. Alterează această listă?
Dacă reacționez așa, mă îngrijorează comunicarea mai tare decât... Nu știu exact. De ce reacționează așa?
He reacts like this. Now the communication worries me more than anything else. Why is he reacting like that?
Well, I'm not reacting. You see how you're talking? You're very aggressive to me all the time.
Okay,
See how cold you are?
we need just to be sure as to which issue we're going to be starting with. And Julia has said that communications are very important. So we just need to be clear. Is it adult communications between Jim and Julia, or is it communications between Maruna and Jim, which is Julia's first and most important issue to be looked at?
Deci, cine spune? Eu nu sunt agresiv. Nu vezi ce rece ești cu mine și așa? Ok, am înțeles, dar hai să vedem. Deci, Julia a spus care sunt prioritățile înainte. Acum, prioritatea ta e comunicarea între voi ca și adulți sau comunicarea între Miruna și Jim? Care este prioritatea ta în acest moment?
Văd că nu reușim foarte bine să comunicăm. Mi se pare mie sau... Să-mi spuneți dumneavoastră, dar mi se pare că avem noi o problemă întâi.
I don't know, but I don't seem to be able to. We don't seem to be able to communicate. I mean, you tell me. It's just. I think it's our communication first of all.
Well, let me just pause. We will help you look at all the things on the list.
Lăsați-mă să vă opresc. Ne vom uita la toate subiectele de pe listă.
The simple question that Liz was asking was, where would you like to start?
Întrebarea simplă pe care v-am pus-o, Lise, unde ați dori să începeți? Cu ce ați dori să începeți?
What is the most urgent thing to sort out first?
Care e cel mai urgent lucru pe care trebuie să rezolvați și vreți să rezolvați?
Because initially you identified your communications between each other, and Jim has also identified that as one of his topics.
And I'm sorry, I made a mistake. Actually, Julia identified sharing memories with Maruna
As
as
number
her
one,
most
yes.
important, and her number two was adult communications.
Pentru că la început atât tu cât și Jim ați spus că comunicarea dintre voi este cea mai importantă. Adică, nu, îmi pare rău, tu ai spus că împărțirea amintirilor cu Miruna e cea mai importantă și comunicarea dintre voi la fel. Dar care este acum cel mai important subiect pentru tine?
Aș vrea să ne înțelegem cu Jim, că nu sunt împotriva lui. Dar pentru mine este important ce îi comunică Miruna, ce relație are cu Miruna.
Now, I really want to get along with Jim. We're not against each other, but I really want to understand the communication between him and Miruna. I want them
Okay.
to have a...
So, would I be right in saying you need to be communicating together first before you start to look at Jim and Marina communicating with each other?
Deci, aș avea dreptate dacă aș spune că întâi dumneavoastră trebuie să comunicați înainte să ne uităm la comunicarea dintre Miruna și Jim.
He's right.
Is that okay?
Da, da.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
So, that's fine. So, both of you have identified adult communications as a priority. Your first priority, your second priority.
Deci, acum amândoi ați identificat comunicarea între voi ca și adulți ca și o prioritate, a lui Jim prima prioritate, a ta a doua prioritate.
So, we'll look at that first.
Deci ne vom uita la acest subiect prima dată.
Bine, da.
Yes, okay.
Pause at that point and get for comment, reflection, feedback.
You moved closer to him. I noticed you.
You noticed that? Of course. He was my friend.
How was that? What worked well, what worked less well?
I guess, like, in all mediation, it's like the part, like, you know, the persons who are here and are trying to kind of, like, solve something. I find it so interesting. They keep on going over the same subject. Like, you know, although you do tell them, this is the topic that we're going to be talking about. No, they want to kind of, like, detail it and cut it into, which is exactly what happens.
Yes.
Like, don't get me wrong. Sorry, I've been in a real situation with, you know, mediation. I've been the one who had to be mediated.
You've been involved in mediation
Yes.
yourself.
So it's kind of like, I do understand. You do go over the same thing over and over again.
And
Although it's
clients
like,
are often very anxious to jump into the discussion
yeah.
before we've done the ordering of priority of the issues. And it's so difficult sometimes to just rein them back.
Exactly, because
And
that's what you're trying. I keep on asking,
Yeah.
so which one is
Which
it?
is
And you kind of
priority.
keep on
Yeah.
going.
And sometimes we do let clients vent to some degree because they've
Yeah.
just got to get it out
Sure,
of there.
sure.
And then we get them back to the original question, you know, which we asked some time ago. And we say, okay, what for you is the more urgent, pressing thing to be looked at? Because if we don't do it that way, they will then get to the end of the mediation session and they'll be thinking, damn, you know, I didn't deal with such and such. And that really was why I came, because they would have got diverted
Yeah.
by something else.
Yeah.
So we have to keep track of the
And
process.
and so, in terms of the mediation
You said
process
it.
generally, do you know about the Gulliver stages of mediation?
No, I don't care.
So, do you know about Gulliver? Okay,
I don't.
you probably do. But I'm trying to remember them. So, the first stage of mediation is securing the arena.
Mm-hmm.
So basically making sure everyone's there and really wants to be there. And making sure they've contracted to the mediation purpose, process. So that's getting this signed. The second is setting the agenda. And that's what we've been doing here. These are the things you each want to talk about, and this is the order in which you want to talk about it. And then the third section, which we're about to do, is exploring the issues. And that's what we're going to do next. The fourth is developing options, and the fifth is securing agreement. But those are the 5 stages of mediation. They were identified in the 60s or 70s.
Right.
And what inexperienced mediators, trainee mediators, find really, really hard is they want to jump in to 3 and 4. They don't have to do all the setting the scene, doing the agreement to mediate, explaining how mediation works, answering the questions, getting people signed up. They don't want to do this either, because it's not very interesting. It's much more interesting to get into the meat of the conflict. But if you don't do this, you run the risk that the process is just completely chaotic. And what new mediators, inexperienced mediators, trainee mediators find really surprising is that there is actually a structure to the mediation process, and that if you stick to the structure, you actually present the parties with something that they can understand. Yes, we are going through it in a series of phases, and we do have a sense of forward motion to the process. And this is not the 5 stages are not necessarily linear, so you can go back to recheck, well, is this still what is the top priority? And so you may have some exploration of an issue, and then you may go back to the priorities. Okay, well, what would you like to look at next? So there is a lot of, it's still the choreography, it's the process-driven stuff that's the skeleton of the mediation process.
And sometimes in a second session, Robin and I think we know what we're going to be doing, and sometimes it's totally hijacked because of things which have happened in the intervening period. So we're always very astute, I think, to ask the question of both parties before we get started. Okay, what's been happening? Has anything changed since we last saw you? We did a mediation recently in Shrewsbury where we thought we were going to be getting down to the flip charting the financial information from the forms that we gave to the parties to complete at home.
For divorce settlement.
Yeah, which is a very methodical sort of task. Oh no, we spent the entire hour plus on dealing with really the wife who was living in the former family home with the children, being able to feel safe and secure in her home, because since last session, Dad had just called in while she was at work, purportedly to collect sports gear for the children. The children were with him, they could have popped into the house, got their own. It was football stuff, wasn't it? And so she felt really quite violated, the fact that he'd been in and been around the house. So
because they separated some months ago.
Yes, and she didn't feel safe and secure in her home anymore. So we had a discussion about the sort of, in a way, moral ethics of that. The legal perspective as well, we were able to relay information because a suggestion that came up was for the gentleman to hand his house key to her.
To his solicitor.
And no, back to her was one suggestion. No way was he going to do that.
Okay.
And then we came up with, how about handing it back to your solicitor, which ultimately he did agree to have a good think about. But the legal information we had to give was, by giving your key back to your nearly former wife, you're not losing your legal interest in the property, you're simply making her feel safe. You know, you're still both on the title to the property, and that is something which we're going to be helping you to sort out. But just so this lady doesn't have sleepless nights and becomes so anxious, just give her the key back. But that took about an hour and a half.
Okay.
When we're planning to do practical stuff on money.
Exactly.
Yeah.